and welcome to the Skoda Superb Drive, a new series on ET Now. Now on the show, we're going to track the story followed by some of the biggest icons in corporate India and what led them to this point in their path to success. So join me as I get into this luxurious Skoda Superb and track some of their journeys. So who is our first business icon on the Skoda Superb series? I'm going to give you a few clues. He hails from the retail industry, often being called a pioneer. He's also set up India's first department store. And although he's faced numerous challenges, today he's decided to run a focused retail training school. Any guesses? No, not yet. Well, follow me to find out who he is. And I'm talking about B.S. Nagesh, the Vice Chairman of Shoppers Stop, and he's also founded the new startup which he calls Train. To tell us a little bit more about his life's journey, he's right here on the show with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
So all ready for our interview?
Yes.
Not nervous at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
With you, no nervousness.
Okay, great. I love that spirit. So let's go ahead and join us on our first journey with B.S. Nagesh on Skoda Superb Drive. Let's begin our story, and as we start this journey, with how your journey is taking shape now. In all the new roles that you've taken forward, how would you like to describe it?
Well, the new role, you can describe it and define it as Founder Train. Train is a trust that I've started with some of my colleagues. It's called the Trust for Retailers and Retail Associates of India. With a very simple philosophy, which I had to say at the age of 50, I'll step out of corporate roles and get into doing something which is my returning phase for the next 25 years. It's about 14-15 months back that we kicked this off. Journey's been very good. Very simple vision, empowering people in retail. And when I say retail, it is the front-end employees. There are 34 million retail employees in this country. Whether it is kiranas, mom-pop stores, whether it is a pan ka dabba or a large retailer like Shoppers Stop.
So is it a charitable sort of motivation that got you, or were you looking at the business dynamics that, look, here is this market which is clearly wanting? Because for me, one of the bigger frustrations as a consumer when I connect with the front-end retail is not being able to get him or her to understand what I want.
See, it's like this, the whole idea that came out was out of business. Okay, to say that what can we do to make the front end really sparkle and do extremely well for the business, for the industry, and therefore for themselves. See, because if the companies don't do well, they will not pay well. They will not spend money on the training. So if you look at some of our models, we actually charge 49 rupees a class. Very innovative. It's not free, but it will work when we do 100,000 hours.
So say if I'm a store manager, I can actually walk into one of your containers, so to speak, because that's when I think of, that's what I think of when I think of Train.
Yes. I mean, if you're working for a retail store and you think that you have the ability to spend an hour between 8 and 9, 9 and 10, whatever time of the day, talk to our people and join a class which is going on. So spend 1 hour every day, 49 rupees plus taxes. At the end of 18th day, your English course is finished. 19th day, we do an assessment, and Train and Aptech put together gives you a certificate. And you start transacting better and better with your customer.
Right, so that's for me at an individual level. What about the connect at a company level? Because companies might say, listen, we have our own in-house training programs, and maybe your offering may not be able to understand, what it is that I want my product to deliver through my store manager.
Yeah, but Paramita, if you look at it, that's where I think the big difference is.
Right.
See, we don't get into that domain of training which the companies are competent to do.
Oh.
See, for example, all companies want to do is do the product, do skills in their business. But what we realized is you can't train an employee on product skill or any other skill unless his confidence building is very good. English is very good, and he has the ability to start a conversation with the customer. So to me, that is important. And once they have the confidence of talking to the customer, then when you teach them to say what is the product, what are the benefits of the product, then it becomes an easy stepping stone for them to grow.
So tell me, how does Nagesh think of the drawing board of this whole concept? Is it actually taking place the way you visualized it, as in getting all these key partnerships and making sure that they're all coming together? You mentioned AppTech. Is this how you visualized it?
Yes. If you look at our mission says that we will be thought leaders, catalysts, create a sustainable platform with a not-for-profit objective. So thought leader is about being able to think differently, which excites me and excites us. Being a catalyst is able to get everybody together. Yeah, there are three things, Paramita. One is what we call as pride and respect, celebrating Retail Employees Day. And Retail Employees Day is our Indian IP. The world has the largest industry as retailer, and here is an Indian company which is declared the 12th of December as Retail Employees Day. And my dream is the day the whole world celebrates 12th of December as Retail Employees Day, and we'll achieve that dream, because this year we had 1 million people celebrating. So pride and respect, education, skilling development, and social security and healthcare. These are the three buckets that we work with.
And clearly you are seeing those numbers come up. But is that the next big challenge for you? How to scale up this model?
Yes, I think that's going to be a big challenge, because I can't do it alone. For multiple reasons. I don't have the wherewithal in terms of resources. I don't have the wherewithal in terms of the team. Okay, and we as a catalyst are influencers. So we work under the zone of influence and not in the zone of control. So I have to encourage the Bianis and the Tatas and the Govind Shikhandes of the world and the Kirana associations and the traders association to participate, to say you are not doing anything for me, you're doing it for your employees' good. Okay, and if you do for your employees' good, automatically I'll achieve my objective.
So Nagesh, let's take a quick pause in our superb environment, so to speak, as we embark on our first journey on ET Now, discussing his life, his goals, and of course what the past has been like with BS Nagesh, Vice Chairman of Shopper Stop, founder of Train, and we'll continue our conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back to the second leg of our journey on the Skoda Superb Drive right here on ET Now. And today we've been driving through the journey that BS Nagesh has taken in the world of retail. We spoke about where he was in the first part, but let's take a step back and talk about how his journey began. Nagesh, once again, welcome back to the show. And your journey began in the retail space with Shopper Stop. That was way back in 1991. How do you look back on those days, and when you took that first step into retail, did you ever ask yourself, what am I doing? This is a completely new industry, never been tried before.
Yeah, actually my journey in retail began slightly before Shopper Stop. I was running about 128 small stores in Corona. Right. And they were all 500 square feet stores. So like any youngsters, I wanted to do a 50,000 square feet store. Honestly, I didn't know what a 50,000 square feet would look like. And it so happened that my boss heard this, and his friend, who is a headhunter, also heard. And Mr. Raheja gave the assignment to the friend to say, I'm looking for somebody who can run a 50,000 square feet store. So that 500 becoming 50,000 actually got linked up. I was called to Mumbai and I joined Mr. Raheja for this business, which had no name that time. I was the first employee. So I just took it because of the excitement. In hindsight, I don't think anybody takes up a job like this, you know. But I think that was the best decision I took in my life.
So that was your brief. You have to open a 50,000 square feet store. So what did you do? First thing, did you open Sam Walton's book and read
no.
what he did?
It was a 50,000 square feet property to be used as a store as you go forward. So
Of course, I never traveled abroad. I had no clue what large stores look like, and it was just a dream and a size. But I think somewhere I was always very process oriented. So I did check up on 4 different options of business. Can we do supermarket? Can we do electronic store? Can we do specialty store? And can we do a department store? In the electronic store, we found that once they sell the television, they don't take responsibility for it. They send you to the service center.
Right.
In the supermarkets, we found that without non-veg, we will not be able to set up. And Andheri was a predominantly Gujarati and vegetarian catchment. So we ruled out supermarket, we ruled out electronics, and we said specialty store. Apparel looked very good and men's looked extremely good.
Right.
But the problem was that if you do that, how do you consume 50,000 square feet? So we said the option looks like department store. However, we said we'll start with men's store, because then you could start with men's and scale up to a department store. So we took this quick decisions, and then we started setting up the store. By that time, I had already spent 2.5 months, and Mr. Raheja called me and said, you have 90 days to start the store. We had no name, and I was all alone. So we did quickly get into the name game, 1,100 names and still not shortlisted. Finally, I called him and said, sir, if I don't get a name tomorrow morning, we can't start. His wife called up in the night and said, how do you think Shoppers Stop is? I said, it's lovely, let's go ahead with it. I told the agency, and they said, how can you have a name which has got 2 words, Stoppers, Shoppers, Shoppers, Stoppers, all, tongue twister. But that's what we had it.
Okay.
And that's how it started off.
And indeed, those shoppers did come in, huh? What was it like the first few months, years?
It was fantastic. I mean, it was only learning, because for some reason I took one more stupid decision. In hindsight, it was very good. I said, we will not take anybody from retail, and we will not take anybody who has a background of clothing or fashion. So everybody in the company was non-retail, non-fashion.
But were there people from retail at that point in time?
No, you could have taken people who have worked in textile industry, garment industry. You could have taken people from Akbarli's was there, Benzer was there, Premsons was there, Amarsons was there.
So you said none of that?
None of them. Why, I don't know. But actually what it did was, if I was thinking stupid and dreaming, they were also thinking stupid and dreaming. So when we said, let's do something, nobody said no to it. We said, let's try. So it started off with whole trial, because we wanted to do something, and it just kicked off.
So you didn't take an established model, say a Western model, you just kept trying out different things.
I would say we conceptualized an Indian model and picked up a lot of good things from the Western market and brought in. So if you look at Hypercity, it has a combination of the large stores, whether it's Tesco, Walmart, but it also has the philosophy of Target.
Right.
Okay, but we actually brought everything together in an Indian format. It worked.
The fact of the matter is, every promoter at the end of the day wants his returns and wants to ask the question, show me the money. When that day came for you, how did you tackle it?
See, actually, I'm very happy and very fortunate that to the promoters and the investors, I mean, wealth has got consistently created. I mean, I don't remember a set of investors who can say that we invested in Shoppers Stop and didn't make money. Yeah, so to that extent, I think we as management professionals are very fortunate about it. Basically because of 2 things. One is we remain focused. Okay, there's tremendous pressure for us to do hundreds of things. We remain focused. Second is, for some reason we believe that if you build capability, capacity building will be easier.
Right. And what about in terms of challenges? What's the biggest evolving challenge that you face at this point in time?
I would say the biggest challenge is talent. Biggest challenge is the youngsters' ability to really work in dirty hands and develop themselves into this industry, which this industry pays everything only in long term. I mean, nothing comes short term in this.
Because attrition is huge in this industry, and especially amongst perhaps the middle and lower level, especially with more brands coming in, it's very difficult to hold on to people. Has that been a challenge?
In Shoppers, we have not had this challenge. We have had tremendous challenge on holding on to the front-end associates right from beginning. But in the middle management and the top management, we have not had that big a challenge for 2 reasons. One is very early in the stage, the promoters, Rahejas, recognize the co-creation of wealth. So a lot of our colleagues and associates have wealth creation program. We also looked at a baby kangaroo program where we saw that talent will continue to grow and create career for them. So if you look at a lot of middle managers, a lot of store managers, they're all grown from that program that we started off. And they've been with us for 10, 15 years.
Right.
So some of good practices have helped us sustain this.
You know, for a CEO who's handling or taking up a new job in retail, what would your words of advice be?
First is get your heart checked. if you got a weak heart, don't get into the business. Because this is the only business where the results are declared every day. What you do yesterday, when you open the doors of the business next day morning, 10 o'clock you open, 10:05 you get to know whether you have succeeded or failed. Okay, unlike many businesses where you can live for a year and then, you know, by the time you have got your promotions, the failure is behind you. In this business, it doesn't happen like that. So I think the first is that. Second is, don't look at if you're looking at less than 3 to 5 years. Because the cycle of establishment takes you between 3 to 5 years. That's the second. And third is, be focused. Fourth is, work along with the team. You cannot do anything in this business alone. So it's very, very unfortunate that I keep getting the credit, but I'm fortunate that even my team members get the credit for it. This is not a single man business. I mean, it's a team business.
Okay, on that note, our journey hasn't come to an end yet because we still want more insights from you. We are on the Skoda Superb Drive right here in this beautiful beach surrounding in Mumbai, and we'll continue our journey, talk a little bit about the future of retail with none other than B.S. Nagesh. Stay with us. Talking to business icons and finding out what were those important milestones in their journey which has taken them to where they are today. And today our journey has been in the world of retail with B.S. Nagesh of Shoppers Stop, and of course the new career path he's chosen for himself, still related to retail. But you know, let's focus on the industry, Nagesh, and you know, where we are at this point in time with FDI and retail coming through. Everybody's talking about it being a new beginning, but many cynics are saying, listen, there are too many deep-rooted problems in the way the industry has grown and the business models it has evolved for things to change overnight. Are you an optimist, a pessimist at this point? Where would you stand?
See, I'm a very, very big optimist for the retail. And I can bet you all my life savings that retail is going to be extremely big over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I am a pessimist on a few retailers, okay, and I would be on the conservative side on most of the retailers because I believe that retailing will not fail in this country, retailers will fail. And the reason for that is what I discussed in the earlier segment of saying what is happening in the retail industry. But if you look at the overall industry, the consumer is in a very good shape, wanting to consume more and more. There are 3-4 segments of consumers developing. You have the youngsters, you have the teens, you have the 28 to 35, you have 35 to 55, and don't forget in the next 5-10 years you'll have the 50 to 65, you know, people like me, I mean, who will be available to be captured as a customer, as a consumer. So I'm very positive about the industry as a whole.
You know, you mentioned about some of the mistakes, and what has come to the light are the recent scams which have brought a bad name to the industry. But yet many people say that these industry norms continue to be practiced because the market realities are so tough. Are companies really willing to change?
Now, I think there are 3 influences to this. One is the investor. I think in the last few years the investor felt that you get into retail, put money, and the market pays you multiples. Okay, I think that's not true anymore. So they have become very cautious. So it's gone are the days when you'll just take a retailer, put the money. I think corporate governance, compliance, all that has come in. So that part is very, very positive. The second part is the reality on the ground. I mean, there is corruption, there are issues. I mean, those are not going to go away. So you have to learn how to deal with them and be sane in the way you run the business. If you want to run faster, I mean, these are some of the hurdles. I would say if you're conservative, you'll not have an issue. The third is the retailer himself. If you look at all the failures have happened because they have tread on their own shoelaces. So if you are not, I mean, khud nahi sudroge, so you can't do anything about it. So I think that is the issue. So 2 of the things are improving. The investors, the private equity players, the capital markets have actually started giving premium to people who are well governed. As far as the consumers are concerned, they are extremely positive. Retailers have learned the lessons. On the ground, the issues will remain. I am not seeing an improvement.
Because expectations, have they really been tempered, especially at this point in time when a lot of the foreign brands are wanting to come in themselves and they are comparing India to, say, a China and the kind of return multiples that you mentioned. What would you say makes India still attractive at this point?
The only thing that makes India attractive is, or I would say two things. One is the consumers and second is the low level of penetration. I think both of them get huge opportunity for any retailer. Why we can't be compared with China is because retail is heavily dependent on infrastructure and we are very poor on infrastructure.
So Nagesh, now you have Indian retailers who are some who are well capitalized, some who are not, and you have foreign retailers who, some of whom are already here and some who are waiting to enter this market on their own. What's your prognosis for all these set of players?
Let me start with the foreign retailers. I think there's a huge opportunity for them, especially if they are single branded, because especially if they are in single branded apparel. Because I think the government's policy really favors single brand apparel retailers to come into the country because they're already sourcing out of the country. If they are single brand in non-apparel, I think there is an issue in terms of the sourcing norms, which makes it difficult for them to enter. Coming into multi-brand foreign retailers, I think the laws are still very complicated. But the fact that FDI has been opened up, FI monies will come in, I think that's a big opportunity. But before they can capitalize on the opportunity, looks like the Indian multi-brand retailers will capitalize on the opportunity because of the availability of money.
So where does e-commerce fit into it? Because that's seeing an explosion.
Yeah, I think e-commerce is doing a fantastic job of expanding the market. So they are paving the path for the offline business, because today if you look at it, a lot of tier 2, tier 3 people have actually directly accessed e-commerce even before seeing modern retail come in terms of brick and mortar. So e-commerce is expanding the pie, which is very, very good. Also, I believe e-commerce as a business will succeed in India. There's no doubt about it with the 4G coming up. Issue will be, will all e-commerce retailers succeed? No, because the model is quite flawed as of today in terms of the costs and the margins.
Because if you look at the flight or the movement of capital, e-commerce players seem to have no dearth of, for the want of capital right now, whereas your brick and mortar retailers, franchisees are always crying out about if capital is coming in at all, it's coming in at a very high cost.
This is also a herd mentality, and it's also, if one gets excited with something, then others also want to be excited. People are chasing this as a business. Don't forget, the largest player in the world took so many years to make money. So I think here also the struggle will be there, but 2 or 3 will strike it very rich.
Do you think you have really plumbed the inside out of this industry and really understood it to the core, or there's still surprises left?
Everybody thought that I have retired, and a lot of people say that I have retired from Shoppers Stop and this is a new journey. It's not true. Actually, my journey is beginning. This is like a startup for me. I'm as excited about understanding retail, and I'm fascinated by what I'm learning, because earlier my learning was restricted to Shoppers Stop, its size department store, world-around department store. I also happen to be on the board of IGDS worldwide, so I get exposed to all department stores around the world. Now my journey is about the 300 square feet. Now the journey is about knowing Mr. Cheda of Cheda stores. Right. How does society stores become modern? How does New Roman stores become modern? I think that's the new journey. It's very exciting, very new, and I'm learning. I'm learning, and sometimes the excitement is almost like I'm going back 20 years back.
If I were to go and ask your wife about the BS Nagesh now and the BS Nagesh earlier, what do you think she would say?
Well, I think she will say the earlier BS Nagesh was horrible, no time. And don't forget, for years I worked on Saturdays, Sundays and took off on Thursdays. So we never had family together ever, for years. Okay. Today's BS Nagesh, I hope she loves it. I'm getting worried that she should not say this guy is available when I want. But I don't know about it.
Too much of a good thing. Okay, in fact, let's maybe continue our journey there, because right now we've completely run out of time. Still so many questions to ask. But in the meantime, having spent so much of time with us, I have to take you out for lunch.
Let's do
so
that.
let's head out back.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of this Skoda Superb Drive as we drove through the journey that BS Nagesh has taken in his years in retail as he charts out a new future for himself. We'll catch you again next week. Until then, goodbye.
Thank you.